What's up, interwebs? Wilfredo here with MMObomb.com to bring you a potential new series to the fold. A new series that makes us ask the question in the modern MMO age, are some games still worth playing? This new monthly series will shine a light on all the games in the MMO space, both past and present, and answer that question, or at least try to see if a game is a great fit for the bombers out there. So, let's dive in. Today's game is Star Trek Online, my personal favorite MMO in the last 5 years, due to its storied IP, immersive atmosphere, and customization that makes me feel like I'm living my own Starfleet fantasy. Star Trek Online launched in February of 2010 as a pay-to-play MMO with a free-to-play conversion in January of 2012. Developed by Cryptic Studios and Perpetual Entertainment and published by Perfect World, now Gearbox, Star Trek Online is a tab-target sci-fi themed MMO set in the Star Trek universe, where you are the captain of your own starship, and it is your mission to boldly go where many have gone before. Over the years, Star Trek Online has undergone some serious updates, incorporating several new features, gameplay options, new play modes, and plenty of episodes to play through. Star Trek is a little hard-pressed to leave you without plenty to do, such as PvP, PvE, joining fleets, and task force operations. It's like you have a galaxy of options to choose from, so get to it. The new player experience is a fantastic one, and in my opinion, a great way to immerse yourself into the universe and atmosphere. You get to choose between 6 factions and 3 career paths for each, with plenty of character customization to fill your holodeck memory banks. Star Trek Online treats your new player experience like a pilot episode to a new series, with your character usually being the rookie on a bridge of a starship, and it takes you through the tutorial with much of it being voiced. But don't let my enthusiasm sway you. This game looks and feels dated because it is. For a game from 2012 with a graphical update, it's definitely a sign of its time. During ground combat, everything is dreary, drab, and flat, with the color palette being minimal and simplistic. In space, the colors of the nebulas, gas giants, and distant stars pop amongst the void of space, but the planets and asteroids feel like models being rendered from the late 90s. This can be immersion breaking at times, but for the most part, you won't even notice it. Ultimately, there are far worse looking games, and the overall new player experience is solid to say the least. Star Trek Online is a tab target MMO. That doesn't tell you much, then check your pulse. While many tab target games are still being played today, this method is antiquated and lackluster. Star Trek Online did implement a pseudo action combat feature with a third person reticle, but it wasn't implemented well as it still feels very tab targety. Ground combat is clunky and stiff, as most tab target games can be, and the dodge mechanic is essentially pointless because you'll still take damage from whichever attack you just avoided. Space combat is better though. Space battles are a ton of fun when multiple ships are battling it out and the fleets are vying for orbital dominance, but the combat can be slow. It does improve over the leveling process, but the first 20 levels can be a nightmare, especially if you don't know how to upgrade your ship. Star Trek doesn't lend itself to teaching after level 10. To learn how to upgrade, craft, or develop your experience in an effective way, you're going to need to watch some fairly lengthy videos on the internet. I have a capped character, and I just discovered how to upgrade and craft in November of 2021. In regards to exploration, Star Trek gets this right in spades. The vastness of space and the feel of traveling from system to system in your own starship gives you a sense of discovery and a bit of excitement in finding the new unknown for the first time. Engaging your warp engines and moving faster than light through the stars also makes for some great white noise, amazing screenshots, and even your own screensaver if you're still into that kind of thing. If you want to RP, you can even go into some of the decks of your starship and mosey around, and invite your friends onto your ship as well. By the way, staff meeting at 0600. There are also hubs within Star Trek Online, like the Earth Space Dock. Your faction will determine your hub, and these hubs feel lived in. And with many players still going strong, these hubs are still bursting with players, and finding the marketplace, tailor, and dry dock are adequately intuitive. The mini-map, on the other hand, is a head-on collision of icons slammed onto a picture like a chaotic sticker book. The minimap is cluttered, low-res, and a staggering sign of its time. The UI isn't much better, but this too keeps within the aesthetic of Star Trek The Next Generation. The LCARS motif has always been cumbersome and a bit impractical, but it does serve its purpose to immerse you into the Star Trek universe. For the most part, when it comes to gameplay, Star Trek Online is in dire need of improvement, but overall, it's more than adequate for the average MMO that's tab target. You could do a lot worse. Star Trek has always had a massive difference in storytelling because of its standout principle. Many other sci-fi stories usually have some kind of impending apocalypse or is a post-apocalyptic, destitute, bleak future where society, or what's left of it, fights to bring peace and order back to the world. Star Trek is different because they've solved the issues that would normally lead to the complete and utter destruction of a society, civilization, or planet. They've created the only story where hope is at the forefront because we stopped all-out war, hatred, and destitution. Peace has been achieved, and Star Trek Online has basically created an episodic series with its questing where you help maintain and spread that peace. Each mission feels like an episode in the TV series built for the players. However, if you think these stories are deep, rich, and well acted, you might want to go to sickbay for a checkup. This too is keeping in line with Star Trek, as the stories and the acting are campy most of the time, especially in the original series. On the plus side, from time to time, you will hear the charming and memorable voice of Dr. Spock himself, the late Leonard Nimoy. I still can't believe I got rock out with your Spock out wrong. Star Trek Online has much of the standard fare in regards to MMOs as a whole. PvP, plenty of PvE, auction houses, guilds known as fleets, and a pseudo form of player housing by going into your ship's bridge and strolling the corridors of your own Starfleet vessel. And speaking of your own starship, one of the two best features of Star Trek Online is customizing your starship. With plenty of options to choose from as a free player, you can make your starship stand out. And should you decide to spend some money in the cash shop or get the subscription, your choices only improve. That second feature I alluded to, however, may make the avid Star Trek fan squeak like a tribble. How about owning your own starship in real life? Like a real starship that you designed and it being in the human meat space. Well, you can do that, just on a smaller scale. Star Trek Online allows you to 3D print your starship. Yeah, if you have a 3D printer and you truly want a model of your favorite starship, you can print it out and put it somewhere you've been before, like your desk, or ceiling, or bathroom to gaze at while you're boldly going. What? Don't judge. Now, I've spoken at length about this game, and most of it has been fair for a game that released in 2010, but there's always a line in the sand that I just won't cross. The Perfect World Cash Shop is awful. Now, while you can grind, and I mean hand sand a tree into a toothpick grind, dilithium ore and convert it into Zen, the asking amounts are egregious. In one instance, a tier 6 ship bundle would cost you 14,750 Zen. That's $147.50 USD. That is absolutely insane and clearly meant for the whales in the community. In my honest and humble opinion, even the $20 to $30 mark for a starship is a bit much. It reminds me of that stupid horse armor from Oblivion. I strongly advise, do not purchase. Probably get the subscription. It'll make life easier. With everything I mentioned, let's answer the question, is Star Trek Online still worth playing in 2022? Let's look at the D-bombs first. Great setting, storied IP, strong player base, and regular updates from the dev team keep things fresh while constantly keep the Star Trek fans hooked, with many cast members coming in to voice characters and keep the legacy alive. Solid yet average gameplay across the board for a game with this much mileage, but some really cool new player experiences make Star Trek Online stand out in the sci-fi genre of MMOs. The A-bombs are pretty strong too. The learning curve can be a critical blow to new players when they reach a certain level, only to find out that there is a fairly deep crafting and upgrading system that they didn't know existed. The dated ground combat can be a real turnoff, the cluttered UI can be annoying, and the egregious cash shop can make a veteran or new player question their sanity. So, is Star Trek Online still worth playing? Well, in my opinion, yes. Look, no game is perfect, but when it comes to sci-fi themed MMOs, Star Trek gets a lot right. With a few patches and updates, Star Trek Online can find new life. The episodes are some of the most fun to have from a solo perspective, and the dogfights in PvP can be really intense. Yes, there's a fairly steep learning curve after level 10, but if you just want to get a fix of cruising through the stars and helping new life and civilizations, Star Trek Online can definitely fill that gap. What do you think? Is Star Trek Online still worth playing, or is it headed to the MMO graveyard? Let us know in the comments, and also, what game should I cover next? Don't forget to head over to MMObomb.com for all the latest news, headlines, and even giveaways in the realm of MMOs. Remember, stay safe, stay sick, and kapla! Or, see you guys on the other side.